You're resting in the chair with your eyes closed, and you may notice your eyes, even wish to open them from time to time. And that's fine, because I really wouldn't want you to not go into a trance too quickly. So much easier simply to allow that feeling in a shoulder, in a hand, to continue as you listen to the sounds of my voice, the sounds in the room, the sounds outside the room, other voices, other rooms, while you pay close attention to the changes in an arm, a hand, and wonder if you are going to be able to go into a trance, while your conscious mind has already begun to drift down, to let go for a time, allowing the body to relax the mind, to relax with it, without knowing at times how much more comfortable you really can become. And sooner or later, everyone's had the experience of falling asleep while watching television, paying close attention to the storyline, just closing the eyes a moment to rest quietly, hearing the music, listening to the voices, in that comfortably relaxed way. When a word or a phrase reminds you of a particular memory, and you dream away for a time, come back to the words again, drift, dream away again, until the words and the music become a soothing sound in the background of the mind, just for a time, and the unconscious mind continues to hear everything of importance to you, while the conscious mind may not notice that you need not listen to everything I say, because you've known all along how much easier it is to learn something when you're relaxed. Though I wouldn't want you to relax too deeply at first. So much more important for you to recognize the small changes, tiny changes, barely noticeable, happening in your breathing, in your pulse, in the relaxation of the face, in a feeling of comfort, security. Because your unconscious will choose to relax your little finger before those feelings begin in a thumb. Or perhaps your wrist will be the handiest place to begin relaxing. But the conscious mind can enjoy being curious about exactly where those feelings will begin. If you drop a pebble into a pool of water, the water flows in ripples on the surface, but just below the surface of awareness, the pebble drifts down. And as that pebble drifts down, past the water animals, drifting down past the water plants, gently floating down, nothing is disturbed as it slowly comes to rest on the bottom of the quiet pool. Even the surface ripples become slower and quieter, and beneath the surface, all is still, calm. And you could recognize your ability to relax and comfortably reflect upon your problems in a certain way, remembering those times when you were sure things were one way, and they turned out to be something else entirely. Perhaps as a child, learning that library is really library, or telling the difference between feet and feet, changing old beliefs, learning new meanings, new ways of doing things. And I wonder if those new feelings, those hypnotic feelings, will stay the same or continue to deepen even more as you try to remember everything I've said to you about those TV dreams and pebbles that drift down, sometimes more quickly, sometimes more slowly. And while you continue to relax, I can wonder how Alice in Wonderland felt as she met all those unusual creatures and heard all those strange words, but kept going on her way, not knowing what to expect that day, not knowing where to next or where to go. Might seem to be strange at first, but after a while, it becomes an adventure that delights the child and fascinates the mind, because you never do know what's next, what will be. But you can know that it is okay not to know what the future holds in store, because things change over time, and things change in the mind as your conscious mind changes your mind about how things feel and are. Like Alice, when she saw that bottle that said, "Drink me," on the label. And when she did, she got larger than smaller than she had ever been before. Or at least it seemed that way to her. And it may be interesting to notice that when people relax, things begin to change. One arm may seem higher than the other, or a leg may seem heavier than before, and even the entire body becomes more difficult to find. It may seem to float at times, or to get smaller and smaller as the chair feels bigger and bigger, or the feet seem to change in some way, while the hands do it differently. And after a while, you begin to wonder how you will ever put it all back together, just the way it belongs. But how does it belong, really? And what is the way it should be? Because tastes change over time. So what we prefer today is not what we'll want tomorrow. And what seems to be exactly right now may be what is left over later on. And everywhere you look, things are changing, rearranging, so that it is hard to know what it is the way things ought to be. In summer, trees are in full bloom, though their flowers are no longer there. And in autumn, the green changes, becomes red, oranges, browns, and yellow. And in winter, they're all gone, and begin again next spring. Only now a new limb grows here, and an old one dies there. And how should that tree be taller or shorter, more leaves or fewer, greener or rounder perhaps, though there are those who might say that the tree is just the way it is, and the way it is all it needs to be. The way they see a newborn child, each tiny finger exactly perfect, each tiny ear perfectly exact, though no two look the same, like Alice found in Wonderland, where everything seemed different, and she discovered how it felt to love being just what she was. And so, before you allow yourself to drift up completely into conscious, wakeful alertness, it may be useful for you to utilize the time now to think about what you've experienced, the thoughts, images, understandings, and how you might use these later on, from one day to the next. Because you have an unconscious mind, and you have a conscious mind, and those two minds can learn from your experiences today some things you can utilize to deal more effectively with those things that have been problems for you before. And so, before you continue to drift up into conscious awareness, normal wakeful awareness, it is your privilege to use this comfortable self-awareness to become more aware of those things you can use later on. Those learnings, abilities, and skills you may have overlooked before, to give you a new view of the possibilities for a new way of thinking and feeling and doing things. That's right. Take some time now, a brief time that seems to be a long time, to review and plan, at some level of awareness, those things you will do later on, those things you may change later on, as you begin to use more and more of you. You can use that time now, because in a few moments from now, when you drift up and awaken, it may be interesting for you to know that in that drifting, relaxed state of mind, where thoughts drift by like dreams, then they enter awareness for a time, and drift through the mind, while some are left behind to be utilized later on, and others are remembered, or seem to be remembered at first, but then become more and more distant, forgotten over time, and the entire experience can seem so far away, as your unconscious mind protects the conscious mind and leaves those things behind, forgotten but remembered too. And time changes too, so you can know what a trance it's been when you begin to know that what seemed to take a short time turns out to have been a long time, or what seemed a long time was really no time at all. So for now, as the unconscious mind allows the conscious mind to become more aware of sounds in the room, the sound of my voice, the sensations in an arm, a leg, the variety of thoughts and feelings as the conscious mind drifts up, and conscious, wakeful awareness returns quite completely now. Up to the surface of wakeful awareness, restfully refreshed, comfortably awake, even as the mind drifts up completely and the eyes are allowed to open now. That's right, eyes open. And wakeful awareness returns quite completely now.